A number of years ago, I went to Palm Beach, Florida to Art Basel. And I was so fired up to go to this thing because I knew I hadn't been looking at a lot of art and I knew that this was going to do it. And it did. I mean, that place, you walk around for days and you're just looking at so much art. It's really quite extraordinary. But I thought that I was going to just come back all fired up and excited. And what happened for me was, as the days progressed and I was seeing more and more art. Now, 10% of it's friggin' amazing, and that's kind of what I focused on. Maybe 8% or 7%, but nonetheless, there's some extraordinary work being made and it's from all over and you get to just really digest this work. But I started to feel not so inspired and I started to feel, I think I was a little intimidated. And it was such a weird thing for me because I don't usually feel that way. And I was sort of overwhelmed, went through inspiration and ended up feeling a little intimidated. And I came back and this feeling kind of persisted and I just didn't really feel like painting. I just felt like the wind was taken out of my sails, which is so odd. And so anyway, this is Nicholas Wilton and I'm at Our Life and I'm talking about how to stay inspired by what other people are doing. We need that, but to not be intimidated by it, to not let their success and the amazing work being done in the world make you feel less than, or the possibility for your work feeling less than, or, it can be challenging. But that trip taught me a lot, especially when I got back, because it wasn't until I came back into the studio finally, and it took me a few days to even come back into the studio. It wasn't until I started making my art again that I found my juju. And I realized, and this is what the whole point of what I'm sharing with you is that I used to group like, oh, I'm making art today, and now I'm going to go look at art today, and I'm going to do this, and this is all art. This is all what I'm doing. I'm a fine artist, and this is what but the activity of looking at other people's work is wildly different than the activity of making your own. And they're different. And they don't necessarily reinforce each other, right? So that's an important piece to remember. And that there's kind of an allocation, because meaning if you're looking at other people's work far more than your own, you're kind of not getting the energy. The energy comes from doing it, from the practice, from the actual, that's where you get all the momentum. And yes, you can get inspired, but you need to return to your art and be doing that. So if you're mostly looking at other people's work, you can easily it can stop you, and I don't know, I'm sure some of you can relate to this. This has happened to me. And it was just a great reminder that's those two activities, they're very, very different than each other. And if you just look at art all the time, it doesn't lead to more art necessarily, or that didn't for me. Another thing that I have done when I look at amazing work now is I kind of come in more like a scientist and I look at it and I'm so awed and I come across and I check it out, but I kind of deconstruct it. I look at it and I think like, what are the pieces? Like, what is it about this 12-foot Deconstruct painting that's worth $50 billion? What is it about this painting that I actually really resonate with? Like, I don't love necessarily, you never love all of it. It's always something you would do differently. But there's usually one or two things about it that are takeaways that you can say, well, God, the way he uses that graphite, that charcoal line, and he sort of smears it, like that's so cool, that sharp edge and that soft edge, and write those things down. So the takeaway doesn't become this impossible picture that's so amazing. It becomes these items that you can, they're bite-sized and they're discernible and understandable to like bring into your own art. And that can help your art a lot. So I always look at it, interpret that work in your own creative way, in other words. Make sure it's your lens that you're looking at it. Relate it to your work. I do colorful work. I'm picturing my art. How is this different than my art? So you're staying in the game of your own art when you're out there in the world. looking for clues as to what can improve your art. You're staying connected to your art, not being knocked off center by some huge, amazing piece of art, right? I mean, it feels great to just be blown away. But again, we're talking about keeping momentum for our own practice going. So those are a couple things I do. And the third little one is just an idea around this success that people have. And you see it all the time. Suddenly somebody just like their work takes off, or, even in going in museums, I like to think of it as more like their success is more like a permission slip for your own, right? Like this is a possibility for everybody. And when people achieve something that's amazing, they're no different than you and I, but it really points back to the possibility for yourself. So there's a sort of gratitude if you can get there past the enviness, but it's really it's sort of an abundant feeling that this is available for me too. Like this is what it can look like for me. If you can kind of stay connected to that, it can keep you kind of more buoyant in it. Anyway, those are some of the ideas around it that I've used. I'm super curious about this. Let me know in the comments how you deal with the extraordinary work being made in the world, and then you looking at yours and feeling like, how am I going to get this better? And does that derail you? Does it inspire you? Let us know in the comments. We'd all love to actually hear about that. Speaking of really amazing artwork, we're collecting it. We have a couple days left to enter into the International Art to Life online exhibition. It's going to be amazing. One of the things we do, by the way, is we promote heavily to collectors, galleries, designers, and we do this through a sort of like preview ahead of time that we kind of promote. So we're really actively, what I love about shows, and that's why I'm excited about it, I'm involved in creating one, is that I like to make it so if I enter a show, that there's a strong likelihood that lots and lots of people will see it. And sales lead to that, opportunities lead to that. So I get that. And that's really the goal of the Art to Life exhibition. We're doing this to demonstrate and try to like push artists' work out there that wouldn't otherwise get seen. So I hope you can participate. It's going to be amazing this year. A couple more days left. There's a link down below. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you real soon. Okay. Hey everyone, if you found this helpful, I have a whole lot more to teach, share, and inspire you with every single week. So please join the Art to Life YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Okay, great. Let's do this.